Even though most high-end paintings were very often made on commission during the 15th to the 18th centuries, paintings were also sold on the open market from an early date. In the 15th century, the market for many types of goods, including paintings, was organized in annual fairs, which took place in many cities. Specialized dealers would set up shops there, in a way similar to what we see in this painting from the middle of the 15th century, from a leading artist from the Netherlands, Petrus Christus. It shows the shop of a jeweler. A pair of potential buyers stands behind him, inside the shop. Reflected in a mirror in the lower right, we see two other elegant clients who look into the stall from the street. At the beginning of the 16th century, the production of paintings greatly increased in some areas of Europe, especially in cities of Italy and the southern Netherlands, and new ways of selling paintings appeared. Specialized dealers began to set up shops that remained open not only during the fairs but year-round, and where they accumulated stock for sale. Clients could come here looking to buy art. As far as we know, this first happened, at least on a grand scale, in Antwerp. As the sale of paintings in the open market grew, painters began to adapt their products. Sizes and subjects of paintings became more standardized, and as a given image gained success in the open market, painters made many versions of it. For example, we know of 127 copies of the painting Winter Landscape with a Bird Trap by Peter Bruegel the Elder. This on the screen is one of these copies. What happened in this case is that Bruegel's son, also called Peter Bruegel, ran a business that consisted of hiring painters to make copies after paintings by his father, responding to demand for them. Copies were made by tracing the originals or by using stencils. In the 17th century, the scale of collections grew and the ways of acquiring paintings became more varied. The figure of the art advisor, who was also a dealer, gained importance now. Persons who knew where to find art and who collectors trusted. In this Flemish painting of the 1630s, we see a group of elegant potential buyers and a child who brings a painting to them. When in the 1620s, the young Prince of Wales, the future King Charles I of England, decided almost overnight that he wanted to become a great collector, he used advisors to buy paintings in Italy. And advisors and agents again played an important role in the sale of the collection of the same king after he was executed in 1649. Dealers were usually merchants who also traded other types of goods, and often artists became involved in the trade. One example is Pompeo Leoni, an Italian sculptor active in Spain in the late 16th century, who bought and sold works of art, including important paintings by Titian and manuscripts by Leonardo da Vinci. In the 18th century, a dealer named Guercin, whose shop is shown in this print, based on a painting by his friend Watteau, set the standards that would lead to the highly professionalized dealer of the future, publishing catalogs, organizing auctions with viewing periods, and traveling in search of stock. In the 19th century, the dispersal of works of art grew, due mainly to historical circumstances, bringing into the market many works of art not originally made for it. The armies of Napoleon confiscated numerous artworks after invading Italy and Spain and Belgium and other countries. The most famous pictures looted were returned after the fall of Napoleon, but many works made it into the art market, spreading the taste for artists that until then were not well known internationally. This flood of new types of paintings spurred dealers to travel to different parts of Europe to find new stock. Also, confiscation of religious properties in different countries in Europe brought into circulation many more artworks. The dispersal of paintings had two important consequences for the art market. Legislation gradually appeared in many European countries, protecting local patrimony from export. Other places, mainly England, maintained an open policy in this respect, with the goal of attracting collectors and works of art, and of becoming the capital of the art market, as indeed has occurred. Another consequence of the influx of a large number of paintings into the market was the appearance of forgeries and false attributions. One of the most famous cases has happened fairly recently, between the First and the Second World Wars. A Dutch painter, Hans van Meegeren, devoted many years to learning the technique of Vermeer, using old canvases and old formulas to make paints, and he completely tricked the experts. In spite of this example, forgeries and problems with attributions have made the figure of the art expert more necessary than ever. The expert is a person with an innate capacity for visual analysis and a good visual memory, who has carefully studied the art of a given painter and trained her or his eye through years of study. The ability of experts to recognize the author of paintings can seem perplexing. A good way to explain it is by comparing it to voice recognition. We can recognize a voice that we know without seeing its source, on the phone for example. But it would be impossible to explain with words exactly what characteristics make that voice different from others that are very similar. It goes without saying that experts are not infallible. Also, some are less knowledgeable than they pretend to be, and if they have a vested interest in a sale, they lose their objectivity. In our own day, dealers remain an option when buying and selling European old master paintings. The most important art dealers in the world attend an annual fair that takes place during the month of March in the Dutch city of Maastricht. I show you the web page here. Attending this fair, or the important auctions that take place several times a year, is an exciting experience for an art lover. The most important are held at the London and New York venues of Christie's and Sotheby's, the two leading auction houses, both founded in the 18th century in England. The most striking aspect of the art market in recent times are the remarkably high prices reached by paintings, turning auctions into a spectacle that combines art, glamour, and a cacophony of opinions as all involved scramble to make money. In 1970, this portrait by Velázquez was sold at auction for $5.5 million, then a record for a painting. Just 30 years later, in 2002, a large Rubens painting, A Massacre of the Innocents, sold for $76 million. By this time, paintings by Cézanne and Picasso and Jackson Pollock, among many others, were selling for considerably higher prices, well over $100 million. The two paintings mentioned by Velázquez and Rubens are important pieces by two of the great European artists, but they're far from being their most important works. Rarely do the best paintings from history's greatest painters come up for sale. They are, for the most part, already in museums. But a few well-known great works by painters such as Titian and Rembrandt remain in private hands. They will trickle down into the market in the future, making sure that it remains alive and as exciting as ever.